Hey, welcome everyone to Sketch Zone Podcast. I am Carlos Gomez. With us this week, we're going to talk about a pretty accomplished young man. That, my friends, is it's actually funny. We've known each other for a long time. We've just never met. That might Mike Racanelli.
What's up, guys?
Oh,
Welcome, man.
look at this. You might be the first guest on the show that looks classier than everyone else. He's got that mic right there. He's got the headphones.
I don't know.
It's because he's an actor. He's got to be like that.
Yeah. It's just just combing my hair. That's really all it was.
He woke up like that.
I woke up like that.
Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the show.
Yo. Hey, Carlos. Hey, everybody. Sketch Zone Nation. Good to be back, as always. And yeah, let's get into it. Let's go.
Oh, man.
There it goes. Oh, no.
That was it.
As always.
Nowhere.
Oh, there he goes. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see if Carlos comes back. But as always, I'm filling in for Jack. Ryan, how's it going, man?
Hey, what's up? It's good to be back.
Good.
It's like my second podcast home.
Yeah. We like Ryan around here. He's friend of the show, as they call it. So yeah, we'll see if Carlos gets back. Hopefully he can jump back in. But yeah, how's everybody's week going?
I'm glad that. Well, it's funny because when you work for yourself, all the days kind of blend together. There's really never official weekends or anything else, but every once in a while you still find yourself going, man, I'm glad that it's Friday and the weekend's here. But it's like I've got stuff to do, so it doesn't really matter.
Right. So your weekends you're working anyway, right? And the crazy part about it is like with such a short week this week, it's been more of like I keep thinking today's Tuesday, or thinking today's Wednesday. And then some lady on the train told me, hey, yeah, one more day. Well, 2 more days. I'm like, well, today's Wednesday, right? She's like, nope, it's Thursday. And we have all of Thursday to deal with now. Then we have tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
I know people are probably sick of me talking about Midway whenever I'm coming on the show because that's obviously been my life now for nearly 14 years. But we took a little bit of a hiatus. Not really for any reason other than we just need to work on other things, other aspects of the project besides just the filming. So we took it off, but we got back to filming tonight. And I say that because we have a standing reservation at Columbia College, who we've partnered with to do the archives. So every Thursday night is our time where we have our designated spot where we do interviews. We do interviews on other days as they come, but Thursdays is like every Thursday is interviews. So now that we start that, I can at least go, okay, that's Thursday. That kind of helps me set my week a little bit.
And you guys have been doing pretty good about being every Thursday, as long as the talent lined up is available.
We're completely booked through the entire month of September and starting to book October. So yeah, we've got I think 10 more interviews scheduled for this month. So yeah,
making my head hurt.
Yeah. Did numbers 210 and 211 tonight.
That's insane.
The editing is real for you. That's all I can think of. I'm sorry if I brought this up, but this is all I can think of. Is like it's a lot of interviews to go to. Is it like how are you guys? How are you organizing that? How are you organizing that? Do you start now and kind of add to it?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, the first step is organizing the files themselves. So that's all very organized in and of itself. But then we take notes as the interviews go on. So it's at least we can go back and refer to things because the things we're doing before we're actually putting together and writing and editing the film. So we can go back to. But at some point, it's it's like any other documentary thing. You know, all the interviews are going to have to be transcribed and, you know, reviewed and all that other kind of stuff. So it's a big process. So we're actually getting into that now. We're trying to figure out the best way to go about everybody getting a chance to review the footage and how we're going to note take and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, because I guess you would have to make sure that, you know, the things that were said in each interview is exactly how you want to line up with the narrative of the whole right. documentary as a whole, and then you want to make sure you accurately,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I you know, when we go through and I'm like, okay, you know, it'll be easy for me to kind of put, okay, this should go here, this should be saved for here, that kind of stuff. But I mean, you know, we've been working on this thing for 3 years, and you know, we've done over 200 interviews. So I gotta be honest, Risky, you know, people, I think, you know, Risky's been on your show before, so people know
right.
him. He's my main, you know, producing partner and kind of a co-director and everything. And his memory for anybody who knows him knows that his memory for just random shit is crazy.
Right. Yeah.
But he's proven that he's got a good memory for things that he wants to remember, because he will, because there's things we know whenever he and I do interviews, you know, press interviews or anything like that. And I like to have him there because he can be like, oh yeah, we talked about that with such and such back in here. I'm like, I all that stuff blends together to me. I don't remember.
Wait, he's pulling interview knowledge live.
Yeah.
from his memory. That's crazy.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
Anyway, is our host back?
Welcome back, Carlos.
I thought he was.
He was for a second.
He's playing peekaboo. Okay. Carlos is still wrestling with bears, so we'll keep moving on. One of the other things I want to talk about this week, you know, because we kind of do little current events. But oh yeah, by the way, Ryan, did you want to mention who you interviewed, or is that top secret?
Oh no,
yeah.
we did 2 interviews tonight. We did the first one was with IZQ. He is he's one of the older school guys. He comes from the 80s. It's originally from New York, came to Chicago in the late 80s, and he was part of the Universal Zulu Nation, which a lot of people know. He's also part of Chirac. He's a dancer, he's a rapper, he does a little bit of everything, but he's been around for a while. And then our second interview was with Knowledge. From a lot of people know him from the group Kids in the Hall.
Yeah.
So,
nice.
Yeah. So that was a really good one. And it was cool because we talked about a ton of things, including I forget who it was, the Sun-Times or the Tribune. Somebody just did a story this week talking about Chicago rappers other than Chance who are doing good things with education in Chicago, and Knowledge is one of the ones that they mentioned, along with Rhymefest and a few other ones. So yeah, so Knowledge is out there putting in work, and it was cool. We've known it for a minute, but it was cool to finally get his interview done.
That's really awesome. I love how, like, when I'm on like Ambrosia Freds and like all these other sites, that the narrative right now, which I feel like in the last year, right, for Chicago has been like rappers other than Chance, like in some form or the other, you know, because Chance is really hot right now, but in some form or the other, that's been like here, let's show you someone else from Chicago. You know, I don't know, and I can't remember back in college when Kanye was coming up and stuff like that, and right after he got signed to Rockefeller and stuff like that, at that I can't remember which there was a concert that they did in Chicago when Dame Dash and all of them were here and gave him the chain and stuff. But anyway, I can't remember if Kanye had the same like type of stuff being written about him. You know, I don't remember. Maybe you're better. Like, it's weird now, you know?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, Kanye definitely helped shine another spotlight back on Chicago, because there really wasn't much before then. I mean, you know, it's funny because, you know, people forget a lot of things. Like, the Brat was the first female MC to go platinum. She's from Chicago,
and that was in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Functified in '94. And of course, he had Common and Twista and Do or Die and Crucial Conflict, and all of them were creating a big, you know, decent buzz for Chicago in the '90s. But Kanye was the one that kind of took Chicago global.
And I really feel like it's more of a resurgence when you say, because like, you had all the Commons and like the Brats and all that stuff, and you remember all those guys, right? But like, Kanye was like, did a good job at that time, just kind of like reintroducing that brand for like a good year or 5-year run, because then Twisted started having new stuff out. Common came out with new stuff. You know, even Crucial Conflict and a couple other ones was trying to come out with some new stuff. So it kind of was like a resurgence for them. You know.
Yeah. I mean, without going into like a big like backstory type thing, but it's
Yeah.
like, you know, back when Common really popped off, like especially after Resurrection, a lot of people automatically assumed that he was from New York. And, you know, the Brat did a lot of stuff with Jermaine Dupri and was down in the South in Atlanta. So everybody kind of just assumed she was from there. You know, Crucial Conflict and Twist and Do or Die and all them guys, they, you know, I mean, there's no denying how popular Poe Pimp was for Do or Die, or how popular Hey was for Crucial Conflict. But it was almost like this is a very popular song, and they happen to be from Chicago. And that was kind of, you know, that was kind of it. Kanye, I think, when he finally popped off, it was, oh, Chicago. Like, Chicago's got a scene.
Right, yeah. And kind of get people that, like, information. No, these are all interconnected. These guys have been here, you know. Right. Oh, yeah, and this person also is from Chicago.
Right.
You know?
And then to kind of get back to your original question of talking about, you know, people like the narrative of other rappers other than Chance. I think it's just kind of that Chance is just that abnormality that just flew, you know, just reached that other level.
Yeah.
That, you know, I would love for other artists here to do, but I mean, let's be honest, it's going to be hard to replicate. But there are a lot of talented artists, especially people that he's worked with and he's come up with and stuff, who are just as deserving. So, you know, yeah, hopefully they keep that up. Hopefully we help keep that up and shine a light on some of them other ones. So
because one of these times, I don't know, maybe we should do an artist spotlight just on musicians, on new music that I listen to and stuff like that. I mean, my studio now is where I work is over in the West Loop, which is really, really blowing up in terms of all, like, obviously all the construction and stuff like that, and places to eat and venues and stuff like that. And, you know, very, very creative area. I feel like for
West Loop, like Fulton Market area.
Fulton Market area.
Yeah.
Fulton Market area, Randolph Street, you know, right there.
Yep. Oh,
both of those sides. And then obviously Lake Street too, that where my studio's on, is blowing up also. So those 3 streets, I feel like it's just, you know, prime real estate. Yep. Just last week I was working late. I think it was a Wednesday night. No, it was a Thursday. It was a Thursday or a week before Thursday. I was working late. No, it was actually last week. At one of the venues, I can't remember the name, but it was right across from the Google building. Chicago rapper was having a showcase there that night.
No Name was there. Yeah, I was hoping to make my way over there because she's somebody that we have to. Funny enough, we interviewed Saba back early last year,
right?
And No Name was sitting in with us on the interview, and we didn't have time to get her in that day. But you know, we're like, we obviously have to get you at some point. We still have to get her. But funny that you mentioned that because I was trying to make my way over to that. I was actually over at the Annex.
You were cool. Okay.
Yeah, I was at. It was a private event that Sprite was putting on for Vic Mensa. So I was there that same night. Yeah, that was last.
It was Wednesday. Pretty good because I was on the board and coming down. We were just getting something to eat, and then all of a sudden I hit down Fulton, and like they're just blasting music, and and at that time it was just blasting Chance. You know, and then I was like, well, who's playing tonight? She was like, oh, No Name. I was like, oh, and then like eventually later come out, hear some of her music. It was really cool. I think they were doing it on the roof. I think.
Yeah. So anybody looking for some dope new hip hop, check out No Name. She used to go by No Name Gypsy, but she dropped an album earlier this year called Telephone, and it's fantastic. So I encourage people to
check out her SoundCloud too. It has a bunch of good stuff on there. So, you know, she's done really good features and stuff like that. You've seen she was on Chance's album, not her new one, but on Acid Rap back. So if you want to look for some older Chance stuff, she's on there. You know, and you can catch some of her performances and stuff on YouTube and stuff like that. I think he did Saturday Night Live or something, or a Tonight Show with Chance. Great artists, great content, like really good, feel good music.
Yeah.
What's up, Carlos? You back? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Ryan. Yeah.
No, that's what I was gonna say. I said, is the fearless leader back?
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay, welcome back, buddy.
I am in the boonies of Oregon, and the internet out here is spotty at best. So I'm going to talk really fast and really loud Dave Atsey, who is in the It's Back. All right, cool. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Dave Atsey.
I like turtles.
Welcome. He, is in the chat room. Quick
What's up, Dave?
Quick little welcome to Laker Craig. Yes,
Mhm.
it is live. So if you guys have any questions for anyone on the panel, go ahead and throw some questions in the chat, and we'll get to them as we can.
Let me pull up that too. Yeah, guys, we've been keeping going. You know, we finished up talking about Ryan and his new stuff for this week, so we can move on in. The only thing I also want to pick up and talk about real quick, just if you're in the Chicago area as a creative, next week is Half Res. So for all you motion graphics artists and 3D artists and people of that nature, the big, huge one night only. They call it a mini conference over at Lincoln Hall, you know, is going to be next week, put on by the good folks over at C4D Chicago and obviously Grayscale Gorilla. Those are guys, Nick Cannon and all those guys. Chris Smith, Chad Ashley, who was on the show before. He's part of that, helping that out. So it's a one night only, big, huge networking, one of the biggest gatherings I feel like of the year. All the different broadcast, motion graphics, you know, 3D artists are come together, and there's different speakers and talks and stuff like that. And I want to see this grow into a Midwest, you know, motion conference, you know, not just one night, but right now is each year. They've been doing it for 6 years now. This is Half Res 6. You can search for Half Res online and go to the website. If you're still looking for tickets, I think it's sold out, but you can get on the waiting list. I know a coworker today got her ticket in. So they are still letting people in. I don't know where they're going to fit them in Lincoln Hall, but they're letting people in, you know, so that's cool. And I think they announced the keynotes speakers this week. So a young lady by the name of Devin Coe, and then the other famous YouTuber and YouTuber artist, owner of Blind Studios. His name is Chris Doe. He'll be also keynote speaking. So he runs that online educational YouTube channel and service for artists to keep them up on their business side of the art, you know. And he's also a graphic designer, motion graphics artist, you know. He's been on a lot of different podcasts and stuff like that. So it should be good. It should be good. And there's a host of others. I think they slowly start to release who else is talking, but those are the two headliners they're releasing, you know, and they were both at NAB and stuff like that. It's cool. For sure. Yeah. So, yeah. Carlos?
So as we usually start the show when I have internet, we do our weekly fun prompt.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, I had everything lined up, and then
Gotta find those prompts again.
We'll get right back to it right when I pull this up. Here we go. Bam, we'll do that, and then we'll do that. I will then share my screen so I can show you guys a few of the entries for
this week, yeah.
This week. So, as you remember, the fun prompt was a woman just realizing that she was bitten by a zombie and is in the process of becoming one. So this is Meanwhile Laker. I think he's actually in the chat room right now.
Is he? Cool.
Laker Craig, if that's you, give me a holler. It looks, it might be. But anyway, yeah, so this was Meanwhile Laker. I thought it was more one of the more realistic ones that's been submitted. I thought it was,
I like that one.
Yeah, it was hilarious with the she became a Instagram zombie.
Nice.
She got bit because she was looking at her phone and not paying attention to anything.
So now she's like, "What's going on?"
Got them all hot ass.
Can't retweet this.
Go ahead, girl. How? So yeah, thanks. Meanwhile, Laker. You should follow him on Instagram. He's got a lot of really cool work. We had to check in with my hero, my personal hero, Shiloh Illustration, Instagram.com/Shiloh Illustration. Shiloh drew this wonderful old lady who got bit in the tush, and the cat is freaking out. One of the things I like about Shiloh, not only his style and everything, but he just has clever delivery. The first one he did had this little outer space creature drinking coffee, and this one has this cat that's freaking out. So anyway, yeah, that was Shiloh. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, it's a good one, yeah.
And then here's mine. I have is a little country scene going bad.
Mm-hmm.
They started playing little zombie music, and Big Mama started getting chewed on.
She's got like a teacher outfit on.
So
straight mom outfit.
That was fun. That one was a lot of fun. I was like, what am I going to do with zombie?
Well, each week more and more people, more and more people can start to it starts to pop up on the old thread. So that's cool.
Yeah, they're getting there.
Yeah.
Let's do this. We have to create a new prompt for this week. So let me get out my.
You want me to go to the site?
At home, but I have everything numbered here. Mike, please do pick a number between 1 and 5.
1 and 5, 3.
All right, we're gonna do a situation.
Ooh, situation.
All right, so the situation is going to be drum roll. I need to get a sound effect. Night walk. Come on, son. We need something fun. A night walk. What would that even consist of?
Is that what Beck? Okay, now are we doing this again? Or are we going to add to it? Are we going to add to this? That's the decision you have to make. If you re-roll,
this is what we're doing, whether we like it or not. I think because Jack and I came up with the rules last week. I think it was. We said we take a look at the first one. If we don't like it, we can refresh. But the second one, we have to do. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, cool. So the one that we have to do is a sting operation at the post office.
That's so much better. That's awesome.
All right, you hear that?
Yeah, it's a lot more stuff to draw.
A sting operation at the post office.
That could be anything though. That could be good.
Hey, thanks, Dave. Mm-hmm. Dave said, Shiloh's killing it as always. Looks cool, Carlos.
Nice. Dave's
all right.
All the way from Australia. Tuning in.
The sting operation.
I think Jack will like that one.
Write this down. Yeah. You can go a lot of different ways with that one. Mm-hmm. Okay, so thank you, Mike, for helping out with that.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about a couple things that happened this week.
Okay.
Your boy got selected as a beta tester for Procreate art application on the iPad.
It's worth a clap, yeah.
If I would have changed my voice, I would have sounded like Bill Cosby.
Boy got selected
for the Instagram or whatever it was on the iPad. That's why I do
the Jello and the iPad and
you put the pad in the thing in the pad.
Take your Apple Pencil. Cool.
Yeah, and let me see. I got the email yesterday morning.
That's it.
Get out of bed. I go through and I clean emails out, right?
Yeah.
So then by the time I get out of bed, I already have something done and I'm productive and I push, right?
Okay.
I'm cleaning, and there's a little email there from the Procreate developers.
Mm-hmm.
And I got excited and I reached over and grabbed my iPad and I did the whole thing and I got the new Procreate app, Procreate 4. You have to have, I don't know if you have to, no, you do. Yeah, you have to have an iPad that supports the Apple Pens. Maybe I'm just talking out of my ass right now, but you have to have an iPad that can run, I know for a fact that has to run iOS 11 that has not been released.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
I've been running iOS 11 for a while now, which is also a beta thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like my internet went down.
You're still live here.
Oh.
He's gone. Where's the chat? Yo, so chat, if you can still hear us, go ahead and say, hey,
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, yes. So I think you didn't go down. You're good. Keep going.
Technical glitches.
I think he's
Okay, how about now?
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead.
So, so you have to be running the beta of iOS 11, and then you have to get accepted as a beta tester for Procreate. And I've been lucky enough to do both. And let me tell you, holy crap, this is a game changer.
Is it?
It's Procreate was really good before.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing now. They have some brushes that you can manipulate the pixels that you already put down. So it's
like Painter. And
the
stuff.
wet brush.
Yeah.
Imagine it's that much closer to Painter.
Huh. That's cool.
The paint that you put down is affected by the next stroke that you put down in such a realistic way that it's amazing. I'm about to take everything else off my iPad.
And just use that?
Everything.
Oh, really?
Facebook, Twitter, everything.
Just use that. So does it have layers and stuff too then?
Yeah.
And then you're able to save and everything with this beta and like export out and see stuff? Okay. So it's a full version.
I actually put up, I downloaded it, installed it, and then jumped on the plane. And I was playing with it all while sitting on the plane, drawing different people and stuff. And I think I have one, maybe two drawings I posted on Instagram.
Okay. And
I've just I just uploaded a video. Oh no, that was for what you call it? A drawing that I was doing, a commission that I was doing that I did in Sketchbook Pro. But this, I'm going to start. And one of the cool things that folks don't know yet is, if you already had Procreate, you can stream to Mob Crush and Periscope. Now they have it to where you can stream to YouTube.
Really? Nice.
That, my friends, is fantastic.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah, because people like Dave. Now, Dave, you can stream to YouTube. He's got a pretty popular YouTube channel. You know? So yeah, I'm gonna be, and then just my luck. I'm stuck in the middle of nowhere with barely any internet, and my Apple Pencil decides to stop working.
That's the weird part about it.
I'm in hell right now.
That's I'm so sorry.
Brutal. It's brutal, is what it is. I don't know what I did, but I'm sorry I did it.
Is it like just dead? Maybe you just need to charge it?
I don't know. I pulled it off the charger earlier. I'm gonna have to I'll check it out to see. I'll plug it in because I do need to. I about threw this thing across the roof, and I was like, I know,
Yeah.
that Latin blood gets the best of me sometimes. It would have been like, it was fine. All you have to do is like charge it. Why'd you throw it? And then I'll be like, well,
I got mad.
a passionate bunch.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So anyway,
Cool.
Procreate 4. Dave, let me know in the chat room if you've installed the beta for that. If not, man, are you going to love this thing?
Yeah, I can't wait to see people like Dave or
You draw.
Mike Henry, stuff like they get a hold of it. Yeah.
That's only for iPad Pros and the Apple Pencil, right? Like you have to have both of those in order to use it.
That's just it. Actually, no. You could have. You can work it with your finger too. Damn, dude.
Yes.
I'm gonna write that down because then I.
Yo. Super pause. There's the show title.
Not often I get Charlie out like that, but yeah, you can paint with your fingers and stuff, but the pressure sensitivity is obviously it has to be transferred from the pencil that you're holding.
But it won't be on the phone, though, right? It won't be on the phone, though.
You can get it on the phone. Steve Tukowski has been using Procreate on his phone.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. And Dave asked, how long till the official release?
It's probably going to happen in the next couple weeks, is my guess, because I don't know how much more changing they need to do. This thing is solid. And I'm telling you, you know how people used to say, yeah, Procreate's really good. It takes me, probably about 80% to the level of my professional work, and then I have to take it into Photoshop to finish it. People have said that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need that anymore.
Right.
They have so many cool things. They have layer masks now.
Nice.
They have their smudge tool is completely different. So they rewrote the whole thing. It's all written in circle tool.
Circle tool.
Why you getting mouthy, dude?
Dave.
Almost did.
What? But so how's that work with the beta? So it gets installed. Is it a web-based thing that you have to log into? Will you not have access to that after it comes out? How's those things work on the iPad?
Well, I think it's that part I'm not exactly sure, but I already owned it. So if they have a free upgrade, then I'm good because I've owned it since like as fast as I could own it.
Yeah, cool, great.
Yeah, so I actually asked them. I almost got them to come on the show, and then all of a sudden they just started getting really busy with updates and stuff. So then they eventually said no.
That'd be a good one, though. That'd be a good one.
When they hear that Dave Atzy's always on the show, they're gonna
get scared away and stuff.
Oh, come on, everyone loves Dave.
Cool.
So yeah, so then that's Procreate. There's another thing that a lot of our fans are, or let me say the nation, a lot of the members of the nation, they want to get into the creative industry, and a lot of them want to get into storyboarding and such. So go to Wonder Unit, WONDERUNIT.com/storyboarder. STORYBOARDER. wonderunit.com/storyboarder,
Yo,
and go get this app. This is a storyboarding app that Jack and I were talking about it a little bit earlier today, and he was talking about how it's making a lot of news and people are really liking it. It's a really solid.
Yeah, I just saw this thing. This app.
It's a really solid storyboarding program. And Jack said that people are even starting to use it for 2D animation.
Really? You could, yeah. It looks like you can do animatic stuff too, right? Like, you know, it has a timeline and stuff inside of it. Yeah.
Wow.
Looks designed really nice too, though. If you look at the real quick, can we show this?
Super simple.
Let me see if I can show it.
Super simple. I know for a fact that they don't support like audio. So say Storyboard Pro, you can drop in audio and you can storyboard against what you call it, the audio. But this thing you can import a script and storyboard against a script.
Oh, nice.
But then if you wanted to drop audio in, you would have to bring it into, say, Premiere or anything like that.
Add audio to the, yeah.
Right.
I love the design of the, like.
This is an application made for filmmakers by filmmakers. So it was written by a team of people that are making animations and films and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And it's still connected with Photoshop too. Because it's like everything else, just edit it in Photoshop.
Say open source, #free.
Yeah.
I want to go ahead and keep throwing that out there.
Storyboarders, for story artists, directors, writers.
.com/storyboarder.
I'd be interested to see, like, I don't know. So there's exports it out as movies, as individual boards. Look at this. This is interesting.
I think
you could print out storyboard worksheets. You could print out worksheets, draw on as many frames and pages as you like, then take a picture of the worksheet with your phone, and Storyboarder will automatically import the boards into your project. Wow.
Crazy.
Wow. So there's a special worksheet that you print out with this QR code, and you draw in those, and then when you take the picture, it's almost like just cuts the frames up for you and puts them in frames. Yeah, that's crazy. And then you could probably draw over those. That's slick.
Bananas.
And it's free. I wonder.
Bananas.
You better download this now before they realize.
I got it. I installed it. I started playing with it. I started trying to play with it, and I was going to use my Apple Pencil with it. And you know how I found out that my Apple Pencil didn't work? Because I was about to crush this thing.
Maybe it just doesn't work with Apple Pencil yet.
No, it's because I have an app that turns my iPad into basically a copy of the screen that I have that's running on my laptop. So it basically
look at this
iPad into a.
This is crazy. Generate a shot just by typing. Can't draw? Have a shot list, or just want to quickly mock up a reference shot without drawing? Just type in a description into the shot generator in the sidebar. Press return and generate as many shots as you like.
Just saying.
Change parameters as you want. Shots are fully customizable. Are you serious? Nice.
Yeah, I'm going to have to save that link.
Yeah, this is like this thing's scrolling down forever, but every time it scrolls down, these are well-placed GIFs. And
if you're looking for the link and you're listening to this show, you can go to sketch.zone and you'll be able to find a link to that after the show. Boom!
Wow.
You're welcome. Let's talk to a filmmaker about making films and see if he this in his set. Welcome again, Michael.
Hi.
Hey.
Is that something that you use in your process of making a film, do you use storyboards and that stuff?
Typically I haven't, but now that you've pointed that out to me, I'm probably going to download it. I already emailed or got the download link. So
nice.
The fact that you don't have to actually be able to draw, because I never really.
Mike's like, perfect.
Yeah, I'm like, I can draw, but
Hang on. Go ahead and go off on Charlie right now. Charlie, next time, don't be saying you don't have to draw. You just got me out of a side gig right now. I would be like, Mike, let me hook up your words, and Charlie's like, you don't even have to draw.
We're completely useless.
I'm just reading the link you provided. That's
I'm over here with a broke ass Apple Pencil talking about I will.
You can always it'll be more dynamic if you get that 3D artist to help you out. But
So,
that shot generator, that
I know, it looks dope. I know.
So you don't necessarily plan out your shots, or do you plan out your shots? And
I typically try to just look at with the stuff I've done. I'll usually be behind the camera helping as well. So I'll usually kind of help line everything up, because I already know in my head, what do I want to do with the shot, and I'm usually editing as I go too in my head. Mm-hmm. So it kind of helps out later. I'm pretty lazy about organization, and keeping track of shots, which I've gotten better at, but I'm usually editing in my head, so I already know, okay, like that's the one. So I'm just going to use that one, and I already know what I'm looking for. Mm-hmm. So I'm usually editing as well.
So you're framing that stuff as you go on site, then I'm assuming that.
Yeah. I mean, I have an idea in my head, and then obviously for editing's sake too, I'm kind of thinking ahead and thinking, okay, what do I have that I need? And then the end is always like, okay, what can we get away with here? Yeah. Can we do something kind of crazy that maybe I'll use, but it's probably not going to work? But it's always good to have as many things as possible. So
what got you into making films?
I think about this relatively often, because I started, I think when I kind of got into this, I was in music for a really long time, before doing the film thing. And I always wanted to do film. And I came out with the intention of wanting to act, but then it kind of just, in 2017, you can't just act anymore. You have to kind of do everything. You have to create your own content. You have to kind of run the show. And I think I didn't really get into acting until I got out here so much, because I went to an all boys Catholic school, and the last thing I wanted to do was be in drama there. So yeah, I mean, it was already a madhouse, and the drama program wasn't that great there anyway. Mm-hmm. So I was in a rock band at the time, and just kind of like followed through with that. And before that, I was heavily into programming, and I almost went to ASU for computer science. So, but I think that when I was a kid, I was always, grabbing my dad's camera, occasionally breaking things and trying to, I was making little stop motion Lego films on like a Sony Handycam, which is like hitting the record and stop like really quickly, and figured that out kind of on my own. Things like that. I know there's like cassette tapes of like radio shows that I'd put together and just record myself as a kid. So it was always kind of there. It just took a while to kind of get to this point with it and be like, okay, well, I'm just going to be poor and be a poor artist, a starving artist, and kind of follow through with, the whole thing, even though, I had done a bunch of other random jobs as well. I worked with Ryan at one point, which is how we know each other. Mm-hmm. So
yes,
I was going to ask you that. You guys, you're one of the friends that Ryan always no, you might be the only friend that Ryan ever talks about that I've never met. Like, you and I are super close friends with him, and I've never met you face to face.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm usually hidden. They hide me away. Everyone's ashamed of me.
Ryan doesn't like to talk about that part of his life.
The weird guy, yeah.
So what was you guys worked together at one point? That's what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those were good times.
Which job was that?
I love Ryan's background. Yeah.
We both Mike can expound if he wants to. I'm just going to say we both worked for a marketing company. We were both graphic designers, and we had a few cool coworkers, but it was just an awful environment and place to be.
That was like 12 years ago or something. Now I met you like 12 years ago.
Yeah.
They put me in a closet to work because the owner didn't like my hair. That's an actual thing.
Wait,
I forgot about that. About that. Yeah.
You got office space? Or
I used to have, because I was in doing the band thing. So I used to have like my hair was dyed black, and it was kind of like it kind of had bangs right here, and it was kind of spiky, and also had half of a mullet almost. And that was mostly blonde.
Oh man.
So the guy who's the owner and president or whatever, I'm not going to name names. He basically was like, I don't like his hair, and they stuck me in a closet to work. Like basically, it was like a supply closet. No joke. So,
was this in Chicago?
Yeah.
Right on Michigan Avenue.
444, right?
Yeah.
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 I don't like his hair. Put him in a closet, please.
That was pretty much the extent of it.
Cutthroat graphic design.
Yeah. That was when I was going Columbia College, Chicago. My alma mater. That was
let me give you somewhat of a similar story.
Closet.
He can't.
It's frozen now.
He's frozen. Oh. Or he's giving his story right now, and it's really interesting.
I wanted to give you a similar story.
See?
Yeah. I was working at this really bad place in Lincolnshire.
It's like Carlos is in like a different dimension, and we just catch him what he's saying. Eventually,
he's on the Voyager spacecraft. 11.7 billion miles.
Goes
away.
in and out of wormholes.
All right, I'll tell this story real fast. I was working at this really crappy company. The
Subway.
Subway.
He's a sandwich.
This guy kept coming by when he was such a low voice. No. No, it was in Lincolnshire, and it was a direct marketing company. And the vice president, whose office was downstairs in the basement, was jealous that I had a cubicle upstairs. And so he bitched and complained so much that they put me down in the basement, and I was in the hallway.
Wow.
I had a table in the hallway. This is the same company that if you showed up 5 minutes late in the morning because of traffic or snow or whatever, they would take 5 minutes of vacation time.
Oh, wow. You've worked at some gyms.
Yeah.
That's like hardcore.
It's funny though that like we've gravitated towards each other, because that's just what happens when you're a creative and you're not normal, for lack of a better word. Mm-hmm. And because there's so many things like Mike and I related because of music and because of a few other things at the time, and it's I don't know, it's funny to me. Those are the people that kind of excel, because we're the ones that are a little bit odd, that are self-driven, that are just go against the grain, I guess. And it's like that for a lot of creatives, but
or as I like to say, people that don't eat shit.
Yeah.
Right.
That's really what it's all about. Is I don't like being told what to do necessarily.
Yeah.
Right.
Most of the time. So that's kind of, been my,
it's something weird about, I don't know, maybe because we were creatives, and maybe regular people, as I say it, I'm like ostracizing people, regular people, maybe they have the same type of relationships with the people they work with. I'm sure they do, but you bond really well, in those weird times. I know working in the game industry during crunches and during like less than stellar, weeks at work, the people that you're right next to tend to become your really, really good lifelong friends. So even if you move away and you come back and you see them again, it's like you just pick up where you left off, every time because of those situations,
Yeah, for sure. And the same place that Mike was talking about, he left before I did. But when I left, I ended up being escorted out of the building and getting yelled at by the nameless owner of that, which is funny because anybody who knows me knows that I'm a nice guy and I'm not really going to start shit. But at the same time, I'm also not going to take any shit, as Mike just said earlier. So there's that balance to work with. But yeah, that was a fun place.
For sure. And Mike, you said at the time you were in school still, or were you going back to school?
Yeah. No, I was.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of college was weird. I woke up one day and was like, I'm going to go to college, but I didn't know what I wanted to go for. And this is a couple of years after high school, so for some reason, I think I was making album covers at the time, just for friends and whatnot. So I was like, oh, cool, I can do graphic design. So I already kind of learned Illustrator and Photoshop and InDesign, all that on my own. So started going to school for that. Got into photo there as well. Had to take some time off because weirdly enough, I had mono really bad. Yeah. And then when I went back, I was already, I had gotten a job. That's where I met Ryan. And then since I was already doing it, I was like, why am I going to go to school for it? And at that point, I switched to music business because I was like, okay, well, if we're going to be, if I'm going to be continuing on in music, I should probably learn the business side of it. And then I started, then I switched from playing it to managing and kind of started my own company doing that. And that kind of parlayed, into everything else. But that was kind of the story with college. It was kind of a footnote in, most of the time I was teaching people things in my classes or not going to class.
Because you were getting that experience already during the day. And it's like kind of like a cliff note, if you will.
Exactly. So I paid a lot of money to hang out is what I did.
Well, it's funny. I think especially again getting back to kind of like the whole. I've had this debate at a couple with other people and even in a couple places that I've worked. Especially like the last place that I worked, it was a marketing company and I was one of the 3 creative directors there for almost 7 years. And, that was one of the things that always, I don't want to say got me in trouble, but that I was always clashing with the higher ups there as far as treating creatives differently than treating salesmen or treating the accountants or something like that. Like, it's just a different brain. It's a different way that people work. Right. And I think, as far as like going to school, there's definitely things that you can learn. Like, it's different. If you want to be a lawyer, there's a lot of shit that you have to learn and go to school for and study for. Doing creative stuff, not so much. Like, you either have the drive and the talent there or you don't. And there's some things that you can pick up along the way. I'm obviously generalizing, but I think it's it's the same thing. I paid a lot of money to meet people and hang out. And that's not to say that I did anything, but that's what got me out of it. Like, almost everything that I'm doing today is because of stuff that I've taught myself or I've learned from working with people or something like that. It's not that I went to school, learned all this stuff, and now I'm applying it. It was for me to meet and network and that kind of stuff.
We've definitely talked about it on this show many of times of the uses of college. And Mike, we can get your thoughts on it too. A little more because it sounds like you've had a unique run of like when you're working. Of this part when you're working in and then going to school. A lot of times I've known a couple people that have gotten those like even game jobs and stuff or 3D jobs while they're in school, and it's one of those things where they were like kind of older already, so they like went to school so that they can like get some skills. They got some skills and knowledge because they were in school, but also got that networking side of it done, like you guys are talking about, and landed something, right? But then knew they had like a year and a half, 2 years left. And it was there. And so I've known some people have been really torn, on whether to finish, whether to stay, because of all the investments they've had with family, with learning, with knowing that some of those parts of being in that building was helping them, but at the same time, they kind of reached their goal earlier than they thought, or even some really talented students that are younger, oh, I got this gig, I'm going to just be out. I know there's one animator in mind, and I know that we still had a good year and a half, 2 years or so to go in our schooling. And he was like, I'm going to go work for this place. And I got in, or I got my experience, got my ticket in, and he left and then never looked back. And now he's working at Blue Sky, as an animator. So there's definitely those times where you get the experience already. And now you're like, man, do I keep going? Do I stay? And I've seen people have real problems with that. Some people stay, some people go, but it's interesting, based on where you're at the time, So did you finish out, Mike, or did you leave?
I did. It took a while, but I it's mostly my parents that were like, you should probably finish.
Okay.
So just because, it makes sense, I guess. I have the piece of paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. If you're going to start something, you might as well finish it, even if it's terrible. That's, even with projects like short films or things, sometimes they don't see the light of day.
Yeah.
But you have to finish it. You have to finish it out and learn something from it. Right. So, I finished and it was good. I'm glad that I did it. And I think, you guys mentioned networking. I think that was the biggest part of what you kind of pay for, especially at a creative arts school.
Mm-hmm.
There are people, if you're going to go into something that's very defined, if you're going to be, doing art or whatever, if you're going to be computer, the computer graphics and whatnot, there are, those schools have resources to get you into a position where you're going to work your way up.
Mm-hmm.
Or, if you're getting into lighting or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas there's other people like myself where I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do, specifically. And then I kind of fumbled my way through it and got to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this now. And I've picked up a lot of skills along the way. Mm-hmm. So, I think college is worth it if you have the money. I don't think you should. If you're going to be a doctor or an engineer, you obviously have to go.
Please go learn something.
Yeah, please go learn before you start. Yeah, don't be an amateur surgeon.
Yeah. Dude, I'm hoping for
YouTube videos. It's cool. I watched the video.
Watching it while he's on it. I got this, dude.
Yeah, because funny enough, there are amateur surgery videos on YouTube. They're done by doctors and nurses, but there's you can look up how to do specifically something like how to stitch a wound, and a nurse shows you how to stitch a wound, and it's I guess it's good if
it's cool if I'm in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I watched one before, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess now I know.
Yeah.
Homeschooling is one thing. Home doctoring is another.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't really want you to be a practice engineer. I think I can build this house. We're good. This couple YouTube videos.
This maybe sturdy in 6 months.
Yeah, it's
foundation's crooked, but it's cool.
We'll totally save so much money and not be in debt.
Exactly.
If I just build it myself.
Yeah, exactly. And me going there, a lot of the reason that I'm actually out here in LA now is because of the people I met there, and I'm still friends with a lot of people. So, if you're going to go to school for the arts, make sure you network.
Yeah, I definitely would say networking. And even my background, I think I still have a little different take. I still think school is really needed, in terms of because I didn't know how to do what I wanted to do. I knew what I wanted to do coming out.
Yeah, it's
I
more
didn't know
so
how, so
it's more so. I think, especially in the creative fields, is learning. They can teach you how to use the tools,
right,
to do what you want to do, but you can't teach someone how to be good at art.
Be good at it. Yeah, right.
You can kind of have some talent for it and develop it on your own, and then learn how to use the tools to do what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
or you just suck. And it's like, you can't, you know,
Can't do it.
Yeah, you just can't do it.
It's like
kind of bringing it back to where you are now, and as far as, you know, being involved in like the film industry and stuff like that. So, you know, you're one of a lot of people who decided to make the move to the LA area, and
La La Land.
yes, and go through all that. So it's, you know, it's that combination of hustling and networking and working on your passion that doesn't always pay you right away and that kind of stuff. So in dealing, I know you built up a nice network of people out there. What would you say is the because I've been out there many times. I've not lived out there or been out there enough to really network and get involved in some things. What would be like the percentage of people that are out there that you deal with that have went to college for some sort of film thing that's out there? Or is it a lot of people who have like taught themselves or just kind of doing it on their own?
I think now, just because it's 2017, I think a lot of people have gone to college solely because that, you know, there's been this push over the last 20 years, especially, like, you have to go to college. You have to go to college. Most of the people, I think, went to school for something that's unrelated to what they're doing. And they kind of, you know, did the thing where they're like, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was 18. So I went for communications, and now I'm, you know, a DP, or, right. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a matter of, like, you kind of, when you're 18, you don't know what the fuck you want to do. I mean, some people do. And, like, I've always been a creative person. So I was always kind of in that path of, like, okay, I'm going to do something creative, whether that's going to be music or whatever. And then I've had some missteps where I worked at the Board of Trade for a while and was like, oh, maybe I'll just be rich. But then I decided that was a bad idea, being rich. So
nice. Boring.
Yeah. You know, I think people kind of get forced into picking something like, I'm an English major. And then sometimes, you know, they're a writer. They didn't go specifically for screenwriting, but they're like, I like writing, so I'm just going to go for English. So it's not necessarily, I don't think there's any, like, correlation between anything. And there's a lot of people that go to college too, and then come out here and, like, go to, you know, a more specialized school.
I heard that too. Yeah.
To do a lot of, you know, rendering and whatnot. So
it's funny to doing that, and then, like, you know, it's always in the back of my head, you know, listening to stories of a lot of the famous directors and people nowadays who just happen to walk on to a set and ask somebody to, like, be a PA for something, or to just observe something, and it's like just how the different industries and then how the times have changed for that kind of stuff. Because I'm pretty sure it'd be next to impossible for you to go walk into Paramount or Universal or something and say, you know what, I'd really like to be on set here and observe and watch and help. They'd be like, that
actually still does happen. And we've heard those stories on this very show where, you know, someone was standing somewhere and all of a sudden, you know, maybe they had their sketchbook with them, and then someone says, oh, you want to take a crack at these storyboards, you know, and then they go storyboard revisionist, and then they prove themselves, and then they turn into a storyboard artist. So the possibilities are still there. But one of the important things that you, if you want to make it in film, cartoons, whatever, you know, one of the other things that have been said on the show was you have to make your own luck.
Just heard it.
Jordan, that's a storyboard artist for Nickelodeon, The Loud House. Actually, he said, you know, if you want to go fishing, you have to go to the pond. So, you know, the incredible amount of luck that it would take to, you know, be sitting in, you know, some really funny named town in the middle of Ohio, for a director to point at you and say, hey, today's your lucky day. Obviously, that's very hard to happen. That's not going to happen. However, if that same person was sitting, say, at a Starbucks drawing something, and someone were to happen to look over their latte and see this drawing that's happening, or whatever, planning a shot for a film. You make your own luck, I guess.
Right. No, it makes sense. Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah, it's putting yourself in a position for things to happen to you. I listened to a podcast today on that same, listen to another artist's story, and how this guy, went out to LA area, right after college, got a job because somebody had the one studio that got back to him, got a job, went out there, lived with a relative he never met. Monday mornings happens, and the place is empty, so, and people were like, yo, they moved out this weekend, and they're like, what, and then, he couldn't find anything. So he had to drive right back across country again, and, he redid his portfolio.
Oh, that was Anthony Piper. Huh.
Oh, no, this is a different guy. Sending stuff. He's sending stuff out again. Somebody else said, yeah, this is cool. We don't have anything right now, but we like your stuff. Next time you're in LA, let's have coffee and stuff like that. So he spent his last dime, got a plane ticket, and went back out and showed up Monday at the studio, like the next day. He's like, yeah, I'm the guy we just talked to on the email,
He's like, but you were in Florida. What the heck?
Yeah. It's one of those things where the person that worked there was originally from Pittsburgh. So it was a little bit of like helping people from back home, and, getting the internship at the Happy Gilmore company, and like his company, and because he's a motion graphics artist that I was talking about. And it's just interesting. And he said the same thing. You make your own luck. You put yourself out there. I figure I need to buy this ticket, go out there and show them how dedicated I am to meeting them, because they took the time out to say that they liked my work, even though I lived in Pittsburgh at the time. I'm going to spend my last time, go out there, do it for my family. And then, he ended up getting a 6-month internship, and then they pulled him on full time as a staff artist. And then that got the ball rolling on his career. It's just amazing, interesting, Cool.
One of the challenges that I find that, Mike, you might be able to coach me in is whenever people say, I want to move to LA, the first thing I tell them is find your tribe. Before anything else, get your little pocket of friends, because you're going to need them more than you do your underwear. You're going to need your friends, because I find in LA, friends will go from one studio to the next, and then they'll pull their friends with them, and then they just maneuver their careers in that fashion. Do you find that being the case out there?
Yeah, I mean, it helps to know somebody. I mean, anywhere you move to, I'm the first person in my entire extended family to ever live outside of Chicago. So yeah, I know it's crazy, but but I'd met a lot of people when I was doing the music thing over the years, and one of my best friends had moved out here to do music, and she was like, come out, and I finally just made the move, and I packed up. I had a 2002 Cavalier at the time. Air conditioning died in the desert in Arizona. Yeah. It had like 150,000 miles at that point. I brought with me 3 suitcases, literally. And then, well, it eventually died. It's a long story, but I have a Honda Fit now. Love my Honda Fit. So I just drove out, and July 9th was actually 7 years here.
Man.
Yeah. And I had $350 when I got here, and I slept on her floor for 3 months on a mattress pad. So, and then I started like pulling like, I remember so-and-so from, that I met a couple years ago, and her sister works here, and blah, blah, blah. And I kind of just weasel my way into some jobs, and then,
Yeah.
You should know somebody. And if you don't know anybody, LA is a great place to meet people, because there's a lot of people everywhere, every hour of the day.
trying to meet people.
Yeah, it's a weird place to be because it's so, you know, especially like growing up in the south side of Chicago. You know, downtown there's people everywhere because there's people in you know, working in office buildings. There's a lot of people concentrated there, and they're, you know, going to lunch and going to meetings and whatever. But LA, like, just sprawling, and everybody all times of the day are just doing, it's always something weird. Like every restaurant's packed because there's, you know, people are having lunch meetings and whatever. They're going in and out of the gym. There's very few specific schedules here. So it's just, yeah, I'm kind of drifting off your original question, but
no, you're actually dead on. You're hitting it.
Yeah, I mean, it's so, yeah, to answer the question, I do think that it's important to find those people, and you know, I've through my various like day jobs and whatnot, I've become friends with a lot of really cool, really talented people, because everybody out here is doing something else to pay the rent for the most part, so they can actually stay here.
Right.
And through that you make, I mean, literally, like you're going to be working wherever you're working. There's obviously a lot of server jobs or wherever you're working. I guarantee you, every person you ask, like probably 90 out of 100 people are gonna be like, oh yeah, actress, oh, musician, oh, okay, writer. Yeah. Like, it's just, and it's weird to have people like you around you all the time, always trying to make something. So right. You start to, you know, gravitate because you're all in the same boat. You're all slugging away at it. And, you know, I've been slowly over the past couple of years building a team of people that I like working with, and vice versa. So that, you know, now that I'm getting to the point where I'm really kind of starting to step up producing my own content, it's very helpful to have people who are like immediately like, I'm doing this, and they're like, I'm on board, whatever it is, I don't care. You need sound, you got it, you know? So that's really important, I think.
I wanted to touch on the fact that you said, you know, 90% of the wait staff, whatever, is a singer or an actor or whatever. And I always tell people, you want to do something scary? Go to karaoke night in LA. Like, everyone there smashes every song they play.
Oh, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. My
really?
One of my friends is actually in a cover band called it's a yacht rock band called Yachtly Crew. Yeah. Philip, he's a singer, and dude is an actor. I didn't even know he could sing. And he got into this yacht rock cover band, and he's just, I mean, like, he can sing like 80s stadium rock and just belt it. And I'm like, holy shit. I don't go to karaoke here at all. I mean, I've sung in bands, but I'm like, I'm not, you know, I got to stay. This is like next level stuff. I'm going to stay in my wheelhouse and not embarrass myself.
Yeah. I'm not a singer at all, but in Podunk, wherever, I will get after it.
Everybody's a singer. You just have to find your range. That's what my voice told me years ago.
Living on a prayer you to death, but not in LA.
Thank you.
Thank you. Didn't know that.
Huh?
You know, one of the things that we talk about as far as like music goes now is that there's no, you know, the record labels are still there. They're still very, very powerful and influential, but there's no artist development anymore. And there's, you know, it's people picking stuff off of YouTube and making those people stars. It's, you know, artists have to put in their own work, build their own fan base, and then they get plucked by people to make money for them, basically.
That's both industries.
That's what I was going to say, is how similar is that out there as far as people, you know, creating their content and stuff like that, and then just being plucked from there instead of doing it maybe in a more traditional way.
Yeah, I mean, that's there. I mean, any creative field, there's no people. I think people think that there's a specific route to follow, Like, you know, I think someone mentioned like going from like, oh, I'm going to be an engineer. I'm going to go to this class and this class and this class, and then I'm going to graduate and blah, blah. And you can't do that really with any creative field. And I think, you know, in especially in 2017, you have to be able to create your own content, and you have to be able to write and direct and edit and do all of these things. And you know, it's just it's weird, and it's, you know, people, there's different ways of doing things. Very rarely now does someone like all of a sudden get discovered from doing something. There are people that swear by, you know, they're an acting class, you know, 2 acting classes every week, and they do all these like you know, they do, oh, what's the word I'm looking for here? Showcases. They do showcases and try to meet casting directors. And there was a whole thing where they had to create a law because people were ripping people off. Basically, they were like calling them classes and taking your money to get in front of a casting director, and then obviously nothing comes out of that. They tear up your they tear up your headshot on the way out because it's like solicitation. But you know, sometimes people have built relationships with the casting director because of that. Sometimes you're working in a restaurant and someone's like, hey, are you an actor? You know, because they have the specific look or whatever. And then other times it's, you have to do the route of writing and like filming and shooting your own thing and putting it up. And I've had a lot of friends that have done that. And once, you know, they were having a hard time with, you know, doing these auditions for like, you know, NCIS or whatever, for 2 lines here and 2 lines there, and not getting something. But then they wrote their own thing and shot this like short web series or shot this short film. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, I have an agent now. I have a manager because they saw this thing. And they're like, oh, but you know, you can do all these things. Like, it's more attractive to them to know that you are multifaceted and you can kind of take control. And a lot of that was happening with music when I was in it as well. It's like, yeah, well, you know, you guys are super talented, but unless you're selling out the Metro, you know, we're not going to give you a record deal. Right. And it's like, how do you even get to that point when you can't get on a good tour with big bands to get in front of them? And it's just a catch-22 constantly. So you kind of have to plug away, and ultimately the cream always rises to the top. Right. If those people are driven enough. You know, that's the other part of it. It's like, I know lots of super talented people that just either shoot themselves in the foot or don't do anything with it. So, you know, that's the other side of the coin, is actually like being super talented and then doing something with it and pushing it.
I wanted to get into some of the projects that you've worked on for yourself, specifically one that lately, like I was saw a post on Instagram, something you were holding some kind of like baseball trophy or something. Can you?
Yeah, well, I was in the AAAs and they moved me up, and so
kind of a big deal.
But I sit on the bench usually. I'm basically a bench player. Yeah.
You know, you're working on a project, and then you ended up winning an Emmy.
That is correct.
How did that? Okay, first off, what was the project? To the audience, what that project was, and then.
So there's a little bit of a backstory to it. So I won the Emmy for producing in the Midwest Emmys, and that was last year, last December. And so one of my best friend, his name is Christian Picciolini. You may have seen him on CNN or MSNBC or many things lately because of the crazy stuff happening in our country. He's a former neo-Nazi leader. And he got out of the movement about 20 years ago and started an anti-hate organization. So obviously with everything happening in the country right now, like he's been on, you know, he speaks all around the world now. about violent extremism, and he's been on all the news channels because of that. But he got a small grant to do basically a PSA for his organization and their exit program. This is like 2 years ago now. And it was a very tiny grant. I think we did this thing for like probably $500. Wow. And I have all my own equipment. And he basically came to me and said, "Hey, you want to do this with me? I have a general idea." And it involves two, one, I'm not going to get into the full story of it, but basically there in the spot, there is a guy who is also a former neo-Nazi, who nearly killed this man because he was gay. And he was a teenager at the time. And years later, the guy that he beat up was working at the Museum of Tolerance here in LA. He went to speak there as a former, and they saw each other and remembered everything that had happened like 20 years prior to that. There's actually a small documentary that somebody else did on them, Tim and Matthew. And so he knew them just, through the work that he was doing, and kind of put together this spot and wrote some dialogue for them, and it aired online and YouTube and Facebook and all sorts of stuff as a PSA spot to combat hate. And so he, on a whim, was just like, "Oh, I'm going to submit it for the PSA category at the Emmys." And I was like, "Cool, that's great. Whatever." And then it got to the point where it was like, "Oh, they're gonna pick, they're gonna pick like, I think it was like 10 or something like that. I don't even remember." So then he like texts me, he's like, "Oh, we got picked as one of the 10. I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool. That's cool. I'm glad it's doing something, whatever." Then a couple months later, I think it was like October, they held like an announcement ceremony at, I think it was like Rocket Bar and Grill or something like that. Right. And they picked the final four. And of course we were one of the final four. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, we're not going to win anyway, so it's fine, But I flew out to Chicago and went to the dinner and everything. And he was just like, he was super convinced. And he's like, "No, man, we're going to win for sure. For sure. We're going to win." And so we were sitting there, and it was we were already there for a couple of hours. And we were sitting there both like staring at the floor when they announced it, and didn't even realize it until his wife started screaming. And then I kind of looked up and I was like, "Oh, that's us." Okay. Wow. Yeah. And then, then we went up there and accepted the award, and that's what happened. I texted my mom and she cried. Oh. And that's really what, that was like the best part of it for me, was that, because it's literally like just right there. It's like,
mom's, the feels.
I think it's like 8 pounds or something. I don't know. Yeah. It was not. It's typically on my coffee table, but I put it back there for a little decor on my desk.
Got to show the nation.
So yeah, just typically, and I used to have it on my desk permanently next to a succulent, but the succulents died. And then
the magnitude of that
side by side, yeah. And so I had to move it to my coffee table, and I don't have a lot of furniture because I'm a minimalist, so I don't have anywhere to put it. So it's just been sitting in the middle of the coffee table, and I kind of move it out of the way most of the time because it blocks the TV a little bit. So don't get me wrong, like
first world problems.
Don't get me wrong, it's great, and I'm glad that we won it for that spot, that it was something worthwhile that I won it for.
Yeah.
As opposed to like some, shitty comedy thing that I did or something. Not to say that anything that I would do would be shitty, but
it's a great piece.
It's
powerful. It's a good,
yeah. And my friend Matthew James, did the music for it. You guys should have him on. He moved out here recently. He's having a lot of success, but yeah, his music definitely like really pulled everything together.
Nice.
But that's the story behind it. And there was actually kind of a little, I know I've told this to some people before, but there was a little moment when I was just super stressed out right before that. And I was kind of like, I kind of wanted to stop doing all of this. I'm really, you know, because it's such a grind, as everybody knows, to like be 110% hyped up on everything that you're creating all the time and trying to get other people to feel that. Being creative is extremely draining.
Yes.
Especially when you're trying to do it as you're living.
And convincing people of the same thing. Right?
Yeah. Cause I mean, it just takes that one time when people like see it and then they're like, oh yeah, I guess you don't suck. But getting to that point, because there's so much stuff out there that isn't that great. It's hard to get people to pay attention anymore just because it's such an overwhelming like amount of content. But I got to this point where I was like, I can't do this much longer. I can't really do this anymore. And I had this conversation with the universe, because I do not believe in a deity. And I said, look, if I'm supposed to keep doing this, just give me the statue. It's not that big of a deal to me, but if I'm supposed to keep doing this, then, you know, have us win, because it'll just be a good, you know, sign that, hey, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Like, this is a legit thing. So that
definitely a lot better than 10 likes on Instagram.
Yeah. I mean, Instagram is great and all.
Right. But a statue is a very, very nice, like you said, very nice proof that you're on the right path.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So it's like I have that, you know, now I just have to do, what is it? Oscar, Tony, and Grammy.
Yeah.
Is that the I'm planning on writing a musical at some point.
Finish the set.
So I will be getting involved with the music as well as, you know, so hopefully.
Hell yeah.
Hopefully those things will happen, but you know.
But yeah, I mean, the term starving artist is real. And it's a grind and it's a hustle, and it's like you said, it's not like it'd be nice to win that, but it's at the same time it helps validate, it helps say, yeah, I am doing the right thing.
Yeah, and it definitely helps to hear, you know, because everybody that you are friends with or that knows you is, you know, they have your back, and but they don't always tell you that all the time. So it's nice when something like that happens, like everybody was so happy because they're living vicariously through you as well. So it's like that for me, just having people, you know, especially the people that I came up with or grew up with and are all out there like slugging away, knowing that like, hey, you can do something that's worthwhile through all this creative starving artist bullshit. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just, it's hopefully it motivated other people is what I wanted, you know, what I wanted to get out of it besides making my mom cry. That's really, honestly, like, that's why I do this stuff. I do this stuff because I came to a realization years ago that, like I said, you know, I worked at the Board of Trade and I was like, oh, I could be rich. I know that I can go and do something like that at any point. But I realized that I am a creative person, and this is, you know, I love film. I love storytelling. And I've become a decent writer. So says writers who know what they're talking about. So, you know,
Next step is a nice storyboard artist, or you can hire your boy.
I can do that. My budget is seaweed snacks from Trader Joe's.
I'll take them.
You can work with that.
I'll take them. I am in.
But yeah, the whole, you know, thing for me is doing something that everybody else can be, you know, really excited about, and the people that have been there with me the whole time, like making them proud. Like, to me, it's just what I do. I can't do anything else. It's like a bodily function. This is what I do. So when people are like, you don't seem that happy or that excited, and I'm like, I am, but I'm already thinking about the next thing.
Right. Exactly.
I had that statue in my hand. I was like, okay, cool. Where's the next one? You know?
Yeah.
And that doesn't come from a place of arrogance. That just comes from a place of like, I'm always thinking about the next thing. Yeah. I can't sit still.
Well, I think it's so important in this industry to especially if you're in that, director, producer role type of thing. Like you can't put all your eggs in one basket.
Right.
It's like working on Midway. Yeah, that is pretty much my life, but there are other projects that are in various stages, whether it's something that I'm just thinking about, is some stuff that I've wrote notes about, or some things that might be even a little bit further along. It's because you're never going to know when you're going to meet that person that let me talk to you about this one or this.
Well, that's a thing in the industry that it's not what you did, it's what you're going to do. What it's always like, that's great, what else do you have?
Right.
Because it's more so because it's like, how much value can we get out of you? Like, if we're going to invest in you, you can't be a one-hit wonder.
Right.
There has to be something else after that. So that's the way that they're looking at it.
Yep.
So you always, when you approach somebody with something, it should be, you do have that thing, but you cannot be like, oh, this is the screenplay I've been working on for 10 years and it's all that I've done.
Right.
Because that's just going to be bad. You know what I mean? It's going to be a bad outcome. Like, it could be the best thing in the world, but they're going to be like, that's cool. What else can you do?
Yep.
That's just how it is. And I see it from both sides,
Right.
Yeah. And like you were just talking about, as far as like, getting inspiration or getting pushed from different things, it's you winning that award, push me more. Because I'm, because I see that. And again, it's not that I'm necessarily looking for an award or anything like that, but it's like, okay, there you go. One of my boys is doing it. He's successful. Cool. Now I got to do that. I got to match that. I got to push myself to
That's what it should be. Everybody should be lifting each other up. And that's, I think you should always surround yourself with people more talented and smarter than you are, because otherwise, and a lot of people don't do that because they're insecure, and it's not about that. You should be secure with what your strengths are.
Yeah.
And the people around you, if they love you and then it's all family. You can't do anything on your own. Like, you have to have that crew, and you should all be lifting each other up.
Yep. And then if you surround yourself with the smarter people, then the plan is for you to get smarter and be better yourself. So
you can, you're by osmosis. That's on accident.
I sleep with books in my pillow for that sole reason.
So you were talking about staying busy and just always having that next step somewhat figured out. At least you have an idea of what that next step is going to be. I want to talk about when you go back home for, say, Thanksgiving, and people ask you, so what are you doing? And you lay on them the 25 projects you have. Like, what, how do people back home see you?
So the funny thing about basically any industry that's not like, a doctor or any of those traditional things where you can be like, oh yeah, I picked up 6 new clients, whatever. Practice is going good. It's most of the people don't have any fucking clue what you're talking about anyway. Like, I try to explain things to my mom and she's like, oh, that's great. There was a time, like, when I was auditioning a lot, when I would tell her about something, and then I just, especially with that, like with acting, I eat rejection for breakfast at this point. I love being told no. And I would go out for something big and I'd tell her about it, and she'd ask me about it like over and over again. I'm like, I don't even remember doing that at this point. So I think telling people back home, like, what I'm working on, I kind of just dump on them like all the little things I'm trying to accomplish. But they don't really get it, I think, until they see like a finished thing, like, oh, there you are in that film or doing that or whatever. Like, they see bits and pieces of things that I'm working on, but it's hard when people aren't in the business. It's hard for them to understand exactly what's going on. It seems like nothing's happening, but there's a million things happening. most of the time I don't even talk about it. I'll be like, yeah, I'm just busy. I don't really have anything to tell you right now. Solely because it's too hard to explain the intricacies of.
It's hard, and you can't explain it in a way where it's like a quick 5-minute thing or something for them to like converse with you. You have to sit there and say, well, I'm doing this and this.
Well, if this happens, then this might happen, and then they might pick the show up if I pitch it, and if they do that, then it might get made. But if it gets made, who knows if they're actually going to air it? And if they air one episode, they might not pick up the rest of the season. So,
and they'll do that glazed over. Oh man, that's interesting. Yeah.
When are you going to be on TV?
Yeah.
And there's 3 people shaking cowardly and on the couch. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, I try to pick out the most, the things that are the furthest along, I guess, and just go. Cause I legitimately have a spreadsheet that I track my ideas with. It has 31 projects in it right now.
Whoa.
I'm only working on 5, but actively like 3, maybe 4.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, but that's what happens. Like you have ideas that happen. And I had to train myself to like, okay, cool. Get all the ideas down that you have immediately and then go back and work on this thing and finish it. Because especially, with my brain, it's like ADHD, legitimately, it's hard to just focus. Like the most important thing that I've learned in the past couple of years is finishing something.
Right.
I was really bad with music. I deleted probably like, I don't know, 8 to 10 gigs of unfinished sessions at some point.
Oh, wow.
Just like 1,000 songs. It just never, because I have this, I've started kind of getting back to music a little bit, but since I'm not doing it seriously, it doesn't matter. But I'll like be playing around looking for a synth patch for something. And then I'll hit the synth patch and it'll be like, oh my God, but wait, this sounds actually cool over here. And then I'll just start another session. And then I'll have all these pieces of everything that I just don't finish. And it's so like, it's everything's such a fucking like snake hole. And so I've with writing, I've learned to just like, I'll take a line. Like if I have a line that I think of that's cool, but it won't fit somewhere, but it spawns another idea, I'll just write the note down. Like I have a note of like dialogue. I'm like, this would be cool here. And then I'll just go back to this thing. And I found that on top of that, now I'm just totally going off on a trail. That changing up my scenery a lot, or even especially being at home, surprisingly, being back in Chicago, really helps with me getting stuff done. When I was home for Christmas last year, I went to, my sister is living in Naperville. I went to the Starbucks that's just like irrelevant neighborhood Starbucks by a Jewel. And I wrote 2 short films in 2 days. So that I've had the idea for like, they're each like 15 pages long. One of them I'm going to shoot. One of them I'm still kind of working on. But I've had the ideas and I just sat there and like, I've been also started listening to jazz music a lot, which I think helps my brain in that all of the instrumentation that's going on, since it's so busy, distracts me so that I can kind of just let it out. I mean, I love jazz. I forgot that I loved it. And then funny enough, after watching La La Land, I was like, oh yeah, jazz music.
I love it.
Yeah. So that's actually helped me write, surprisingly enough.
When you are writing, do you get more inspired by your ideas for visual ideas, or do you hear music and then because a lot of the things that I do, a lot of stuff still starts with music, and I'm like, I see a visual for this song or this type of music.
Yeah, it
write notes for that.
It legitimately goes both ways, which is one, like a short film I'm working on. It started with an image that I had, like a single frame of like, okay, cool. But then I knew how it would start and how it would end. And I had to kind of fill in the blanks in the middle. And I was like, that's a great image. That's a really cool image. What can I do with it? And then there's, I'm working on this other kind of like semi-secret project that hopefully I'll be pitching next year. Because I want to do it at a cable network. and that has music as a heavier element for sure. So I've been building, when I was working on it, I was building a playlist at that time. Like, well, you know, and I've built playlists. I'm working on a feature too. It's a heist feature. And I built a playlist for that as well. So I'll listen to that playlist while I'm writing.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just depends on the situation. Like some things call for, you know, placing music, you know, songs that are already out in the ether. And then some things like just call for having their own score or whatever. So like the short film will just be original scored music, and then you know the other projects, the heist feature and hopefully TV show, are actual, you know, tracks that are out in the open. I've been building playlists for, so that's kind of how I do it. It depends on the project, and I have there's no rhyme or reason to it at all. It's just kind of what I'm starting to, you know, and I have, obviously coming from the music side of things, like I have that music brain. So that's part, not only seeing and editing and thinking of all the other things that are going on, but what music is going to make this scene impactful. So those are, it's all going on at the same time.
That's so cool. I like that.
I like that you're just a talking, pulsating logo.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He's turned into like,
he's like the Wizard of Oz.
How? Yeah.
Do not look behind this curtain. More questions for Mike. I'm kind of frustrated with my internet, but I just wanted to make sure that we've and right when I said that, it locked up. Golly.
Knows you're talking about it.
Yeah. Have we touched on all the topics that we wanted to talk to Mike about?
Done a lot.
Yeah,
I think.
let's do.
Flowed into each other. Yeah.
Can I ask real quick though? If since winning the award, has that changed anything?
I mean, I honestly, like, I'm still in the middle of developing a lot of things and writing things, so it's like it's cool, but I haven't really used it to leverage anything.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's just
you take it to the bars with you.
I did the night that we won it. We took it to Soho House.
Nice.
Like, is that an Emmy? I'm like, yep, it is. I'm tired. No, I was super tired. But yeah, I haven't really done anything with it yet. I'm working on a documentary. A friend of mine's producing with me, so that's kind of part of the draw of getting people into it. It helps to lend credibility to that.
Yeah.
So, you know.
That's awesome. Okay, then let's do this or that. Hey, Mike, this or that. Would you rather write or direct?
Ooh, that's a rough one.
Get ready. This is the first one.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I would say direct, solely because you kind of have a handle on everything that's going on. I've learned to like writing. Writing
freak, are we?
What's that?
Bit of a control freak, are we?
I'm not a control freak. I'm more of like really heavily into quality control.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell anybody they're wrong if they're not wrong, but
sure.
You know, writing kind of came out of being a necessity. Like I said, with everything, it's like, if you have an idea, create it, and then you have to bring it to fruition. And a lot of people are like, I'm not a good writer. So I have a lot of friends that are actors that claim that they can't write. So I was like, okay, cool. Well, I'm going to write my ideas and you guys can be in it. But I think, you know, got to lift the team up. But I think directing would probably be out of those two choices.
Nice.
Very cool. Would you rather? Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Would you rather direct a short film or a feature-length film?
I mean, it depends on the script for each of them, really. But I mean, obviously, a feature is like way more of a heavier commitment. So we'll just go ahead and say short right now.
But get back to us.
Mm-hmm.
Writing screenplays or writing music?
Ooh, I mean, now screenplays, but I still dabble. Like part of me lately has been like, I should just be a DJ. Like I kind of met, like, cause I've always been into, like, you know, electronic music and I've been in everything. I was in rock bands and whatever, hip hop and all that. So, but I like cool sounds, you know, but I'd have to say right now, screenplays.
You're originally from Chicago, so I'm assuming you know the words Garrett's popcorn.
Oh, I do.
Caramel or cheddar?
Ooh. You're gonna split them up like that?
That's a hard. What are you doing?
Not gonna do the Chicago mix?
You never.
That's it. That was a trick question. Chicago mix for me was the answer.
Okay, good. You can't split those two up. They're so good together.
You don't make that man choose. So.
That's like mom and dad splitting up.
Yeah, that was bullshit. Actually,
Yeah.
I'm kind of offended, honestly.
And no one wants to like add the butter popcorn. This is not. It just doesn't work.
No,
you know, right? Exactly.
Butter popcorn is the mailman.
You know, because they have that trio where they're like, "Do you want the regular?" I'm like, no. Why would I take that?
Why would I ruin this?
Chicago. Yeah, some rude lady at the Garrett's in Ogilvy train station asked the girl behind it, do you want 3 or 2? It's like, why would I want that? She's like, in Chicago fashion, I want the Chicago mix.
Please get rid of your bullshit flavored popcorn.
She was like, why?
My last one. Since you live in LA now, I'm hoping that you know of these 2 Instagram accounts, because otherwise it's going to ruin the whole thing.
Uh-oh.
Would you rather stalk on Instagram LA Eats or Overheard in LA?
Overheard in LA.
Overheard in...
Yeah. There's a lot of funny shit that people say here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I was walking past some tennis courts in my neighborhood, like, I don't know, a month ago, and this guy was... He was sitting there talking to his friend about, I wrote it down in my phone actually, because it was so ridiculous. Let me see if I can find it really quickly. If not, then it's going to be totally pointless to bring this up, but it was pretty funny. I can't find it now, but it was basically like, he said something, how can you be, or why are you going to be mad at Hitler? It wasn't his fault that he was evil or something like that. It was his parents. And I'm like, who is saying this at a tennis court at like 10:30 at night? And he wasn't a skinhead or anything. So I was like, this is so like, what are you talking about?
And then you're like, oh, he really thinks that.
Yeah. I mean, I was just like, okay, that's such a weird thing to say. And you're playing tennis. Which makes it even just so much weirder.
Makes it worse, yeah.
I read one the other day. A guy and a girl were on a date, and the waiter comes up and the girl says, "I'll have tap water." He says, "Okay, fine," and he spins around and leaves. And the guy calls him back. And he says, "I don't want tap water. Do I look like a horse?"
Oh, man.
Oh my God.
It doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. So good. Anyway, let's move on into artist inspiration.
Ooh, okay.
Charlie, can you pull mine up for me, please?
Sure.
Since my internet is hot trash.
This man is hot garbage. Okay, cool. Yeah. Got the link? There it is.
Yep.
Copy. Here we go.
So we're going to go ahead and take a look at David Lojaya. He is in Indonesia.
What's his middle name? Yeah, never mind. Yo, good pick though.
David Ardinarias Lojaya.
Oh, I think he did. I think he got it. Visual development artist. Character design.
So I'm just going to let you scroll through that.
This is good.
Yeah. And I should probably describe it a little bit for people that are listening on iTunes. Go to artstation.com/David_Lojaya. Lojaya. He's got these mad Photoshop skills. He's got, Alice in Wonderland. He's got some action poses. But some of my favorite ones, we talked about, Michael actually talked about La La Land. Here's a couple pictures from, I'm assuming La La Land is in there.
I saw that Emma Stone picture over there.
Where is it?
Scroll up a little bit.
It's right
It's
there.
towards the top.
This one?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. No, that's
Get her name. But anyway.
Oh, that's not it. Okay. I'm missing it.
But yeah, he's got action poses. He's got young people. He's got old people. He's got people that look like Mulan. He's got people that look like they belong on what's her name? The young girl from Star Wars.
Oh,
she's in there.
Daisy Ridley.
He's even got a couple mature content items in there for some of you perverts. He's got everybody covered.
Carlos hits all the demographics.
All of them. He's got line art. He's got digital painting. He's got this dude, and his poses are tight. He's got standing poses. He's got fighting poses. He's got purple poses. If you got better poses than we got here.
That's way beyond my my expertise. I can't draw like that.
This dude is holding a NPC.
He's got Ryu. He's got he's got Street Fighter. He's got, what's that one from Midway?
Mortal Kombat?
Game from Midway, the one that they don't let go.
Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat, yeah. He's got Mortal Kombat. He's got, dude.
He's got a very different style. Definite, like the jawline.
He's got dragons. He's got guns. He's got kitties.
Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones fan art.
He's got a White Walker.
He's got a White Walker. He's got a tiny Walker.
This is cool. It's got a Tyrion.
Yeah. So yeah.
Good stuff.
Check him out. Check him out.
Very cool.
Artstation.com/David Lojaya. Lojaya. Get it in your life.
Wait, what? Hey. It's hijacked by saying. It's okay.
Your turn.
Yeah. So, my guy this week, his name is a concept artist, lives in Singapore. His name is Vince Ruz, R-U-Z. Going for a guy that has like a couple different styles. As you can see, I have lots of like all of our like different ones we've done, and I put a bunch of them up. He's the one who made the list. Really like this guy's style.
That's amazing.
I think he has some really good graphic design style. I think Ryan and Mike will appreciate his graphic design skills here with this, as well as Carlos should appreciate his concept art skills, because I think he frames his pictures really, really well. Let's see here if I can get it going here. There we go. So like, love the style, but love the way he chooses what to, how he cuts it up and frames stuff, even the amount he draws, right? But looks really good. He has a really good way of he's one of those artists that can pick out certain features, like the eyes in this case, and capture it. Even if the face doesn't really go with the subject, you still see it, in the way he did his lips and the eyes and the sense. You still see the character, the character of this person, even though to me this totally, is stylized to what it was. But it's really cool. He does a lot of good character pieces like this. I thought it was really cool. It seems to be like I see the person in the face of all these characters that he's done. But even stuff like this, he's like really simple. He doesn't have a huge art station, but like it's just quality is there. So I like it a lot. But check him out. Let's look at, and like I think what was better, is like his black and white stuff. So
his
that's
black
what
and white stuff's dope.
That's what drew me in. I saw this one. It's gonna make the background of my computer here, because I use other artists' stuff as inspiration and throw it on my backgrounds. But I saw this, and I was like, oh, I want this. This one's good. But then I saw, all these other ones. Like I saw this one, which is really cool.
Go back to the previous one, Charlie, real quick. I just wanted to point something out real quick.
Yeah.
I absolutely love when artists can take the face and you see her cheek on our left side, how you don't need a line to communicate the edge.
Mm-hmm.
I love it when artists do that.
They break it.
Her face and the background are the same exact color, and there's huge gaps between there, but you can still see her form. I think that's amazing. I mean, and that works with music, that works with everything, that when you're trying to find that harmony, let's say, to make things more interesting. If you can break it up and give your eye or give your ears some space to create or to finish the line, it makes it more interesting for people to look at.
Yeah, I mean, even the hair is really stylized in a way
Amazing.
where you feel like it's tossed on top of each other, and there's layers to it. Even though you can't really tell anymore, but something in this visual language in terms of like the thin lines and the thick ones, and then leaving the spots here, makes it feel like it's a bunch of messy hair.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's one. I saw another artist say this: that really good artists will do other things really well or really amazing, so that the simple parts get overshadowed by like all this really good line and stroke work, here. So then when it gets into here, or these like swooshes, when it gets into here, you're like, oh, it doesn't matter because everything else works so well.
I like how it's stylized like that.
Mm-hmm.
Then like that one that you just had up, there's but then the like the collar and the clothing was so detailed.
Mm-hmm.
That one could 100% be like a Beats advertisement. Just throw the Beats logo on there.
Right.
They should definitely buy that.
That's so true.
Or it'd be like, this is colored.
Beats, if you're listening.
Missing
It
out.
only takes 15%.
Yeah, I want my cut.
Yeah, he gets in a mood like with some of these other ones, like even this one, super good. Is there someone else here? I think so. I don't know. Nope. All right.
Yeah, he's definitely has good design skills. It's good spacing, good layout for all these. It's not just the illustrations.
Right. And if he has to go and do some super crazy puppy stuff for mobile,
we got you. Super crazy puppy stuff.
Right. Cool. So that's his name, Vince Ruiz. This is one of my favorites too.
Excellent. Send me that link, Chuck.
Yes, sure will.
Cool.
Get it. Ooh, I didn't even see that one. Cool.
I like that.
Yeah.
I've been playing around more with color than I am with lines.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably the inspiration that I needed to get pushed in that direction.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Awesome.
showing more values than actually drawing them out. Excellent. All right, so let's wrap this up before my internet goes back down.
Nice.
Thank you, Mike, for coming on and us finally kind of meeting.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm going to be down in LA probably in the next week or two, I think.
Okay.
And then I'm going to be trying to make it a little bit more regular visits down there, and I'll tell you more about that later. But yeah, I'll give you a holler. Maybe we can
let me know.
go take your Emmy for a trip around LA or something. I just want to see if it works.
Yeah, feel free. You can take it back and borrow it for a little bit if you want. Just make sure it gets lots of light. Water it.
Don't feed it after midnight.
Don't feed it after midnight.
Don't let happen to what happened to the succulent happen to that.
I had 2 succulents that died, dude. It sucks. I even had a UV grow lamp for them.
Oh man.
My apartment doesn't get a lot of light, so it just didn't have. I would put them in the closet every day with the UV grow lamp, and just didn't do it. Just didn't work out. So, RIP.
Quitters.
Succulents. Yeah, they were quitters.
Don't blame yourself.
I know. It hurts.
Only so much you can do.
They didn't have it in it. They didn't want to.
Suckers.
Bastard.
So people are looking for you online. Where can they find you?
My website, michaelracanelli.com. Michael, MICHAEL, RACANELLI.com. It has links to, I think, pretty much everything up there. My production site has a bunch of short stuff that I worked on. I think my Twitter and Instagram are on there. If not, it's all the same thing across the board. It's just Mike Racanelli, MIKERACANELLI, for both Instagram and Twitter, and probably a million other things that I forgot that I had.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Hey, Ryan.
Yes, sir.
Number 1, thank you for sitting in for Jack.
Hey, no
Number
problem.
2,
Hey, Ryan.
Yeah.
Number 2, thank you for being such a wonderful friend to Mike and I, and we've been all friends for so long, and we've just now met, but that has nothing to do with you.
Yeah. Why are you keeping me from him? Jerk.
For those listening, that is not true. I am a person who brings people together.
There it is.
That's true.
That is very true.
There was that one time Ryan came out to visit me in LA. We went to visit you at work, and you snuck out the back. There was that one time.
There was that.
We went. We went to while we were waiting for you to get off of work. So then we got tickets for Real Time with Bill Maher. So we went to watch.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
That's right.
It's right there.
Bill Maher is so much cooler than I am.
But I was almost about to talk trash. I was like, but does Bill Maher have an Emmy?
Yes, he has a bunch.
Yes, he does. He's
got a few.
He does?
Yeah.
I was trying to defend
you. I appreciate that, but yeah, that's probably not the best angle to go at it with. But that's fine.
You probably should think that through.
He never got put in a closet for having pretty hair.
That's right. I can guarantee you that.
Still there. Hey, Charlie, if people are looking for you online, where can they find you?
You can find me at my website, which is cargocollective.com/Charlie Williams. I'm on Twitter at CBW3, Instagram, CharlieBW3, Facebook.com/CharlieB Williams. It's my Facebook page. Check me out. And that almighty Pinterest. Pinterest.com/CharlieBW3.
When is someone going to invent a way to just follow everybody on everything?
Yeah, follow me.
Why can't I have just like one name that just
people,
follows?
You could technically have a website with a link to everything.
Yeah, I mean, but that's a website. Like, when is someone going to just create some other way to do it to where I can just like
you want that master name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you throw it into all this.
I just threw out a huge idea for somebody looking to revolutionise, like basically like a social media aggregator. Have at it, guys.
You've had like at least three ideas that are hot fire right now.
I mean, I try to.
The Beats thing.
Yeah.
Beats should buy that. That is a great magazine ad. Like, if they don't do it, or even online, like it's brilliant. So I'm just gonna say
the at name or something. You have to come up with a catchy name for it.
Yeah, the adnator.
Adnator. Hey, you come up with some like like I don't know, mobile thing. At me, bro.
At me, bro. There you go.
Dude. See, you come on the show, things happen.
We're just handing out free ideas here, guys.
I know.
Listen to the show. Go make it. I just want to give me a free account.
If there's a at me, bro, in the next year, I'm gonna be upset.
I legit don't even care anymore. I just want to not have to think about like Snapchat and like whatever else everybody's using. I just wanted just one thing. Please.
You can. Please help me.
All right. Oh, hey, by the way, before I forget, I'm Carlos. You can find me at coconutjustice.com, and there's links to all my stuff there. Coconut Justice on Twitter, Instagram. Yeah.
Can I just ask what I need to know what the Coconut Justice is? Or is this a story you can't tell?
No, I can tell it. It's just a little long. It's basically.
Can you aggregate it?
It's basically, when you're working on a project for super, super long and you show someone and they're like, yeah, that blue is not blue enough.
Yeah.
So that gets my temper going. And so, and then, how Puerto Ricans, Cubans, Dominicans, which is my recipe, we eat plantains, we eat coconuts, we eat stuff like that, right? So yeah, and so I was walking around talking about how my people come from the jungle, and you talking about blue not being blue enough and that font not being friendly enough, don't understand how close to getting beat down by a jungle animal you are. And then that turned into getting hit by coconuts. And then that turned into coconut justice being dispensed.
That's the artist process right there.
That's it. And then I started using it on Xbox Live. Charlie was there. People would stop
and be like,
and say,
"That's an amazing name.
That's the best name." And I was like, "That's it." I did market research and everything.
Market research. Speaking of market research, let me just throw out one thing here, that no matter what you're working on, you have to be fucking stupid to put out a really terrible product in 2017, because you legit have an entire free source of market research called the internet in front of you. So whenever I see products that bomb, I'm so confused, because it's like, cameras and things that come out and everybody's like, this button sucks. Why is it here? And this, that, and the other thing. And then they release the second version of the camera that has the same button in a weird place. And it's like, all you have to do is just go read the forums and you'll have a product that's like a hit product. It's not hard. You know what I mean? And yet no one does it. They're like, oh, we paid 5 people in Iowa who have never held a camera before to tell us about the camera. It's like,
awesome. Just had a video.
Or, I've talked about this too. A really good market research is do a Kickstarter campaign. Go to Kickstarter, and I see all of these cartoons mostly. Lately, I've seen a few cartoons where They go, they do a Kickstarter, they fail, they wait a little bit, and then they go again.
Yeah, I think Kickstarter is good, and as if like you have a finalized product, and it's like, are people going to put up money for this? Because that's ultimately the the final thing. It's like the whole Instagram model trend and all this stuff. It's like, or YouTube quote unquote stars, like how much, what does it actually translate to money, where people are actually buying products or whatever. But as far as like releasing a product goes, it's like through Kickstarter, you don't get to learn what you're doing wrong necessarily, just that people don't want to pay for it.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, if you go to a message board and it's like, I read it, like, especially when you're working in, again, like creative industries, you're like, everybody blew up about Final Cut Pro X, and they're like, oh, this sucks because it yada, 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 these shortcuts and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, good for Apple. Like they started like undoing what they did and admitted that they fucked up. They're doing the same thing. Yeah, they're doing the same thing with the trash can Mac. The trash can Mac is disappearing next year, and it's going back to a modular design where you can, it's square and you can put normal cards in it and whatever, because they say like, we fucked up. Yeah. So
nobody wants a dongle.
Nobody wants a dongle.
I think
who uses dongles in 2017?
Right.
A lot of people in studios do.
Yeah. So hey, this is Sketch Zone Podcast. You can go to sketch.zone and you can rewatch this episode. That's what I'm gonna do because I missed half of it.
Welcome.
This is episode 100 this is episode 117. So we have 116 other ones that you can watch. And if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends. We're here almost every week. That's it. We're all over the place. iTunes, SoundCloud,
Stitcher,
all that stuff. Stitcher, all that stuff.
YouTube.
So yeah, hit us up.
At me, bro.
At me, bro.
Let's go.
At me, bro. TM.
LLC.
That's it for at me, bro. LLC. That's it for us, everybody. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.
Thank you. Bye.
See you guys.
Yeah.
Hang on, Mike. Don't hang up.